Hey guys, welcome back to another commentary from a D-list black belt. Sorry I haven't been uploading for a little while. My computer died basically, so it's just been one thing after another. But that's okay. So firstly, thank you so much for 90 subscribers now, so we're 10 off the 100 mark, which is pretty cool. I want to get to 100. So guys, if you're enjoying the content, please like and subscribe. It helps me out a lot, makes me feel like a real YouTuber, and then hopefully I can help sort of grow a community where I can help people learn jiu-jitsu, which would be pretty neat. So today we've got Meregali versus Francisco Lowe. This is the Smother Tap video. I haven't seen it yet, so I'm excited for it. But pretty much, if this is actually a Smother Tap, you'll see exactly how it would go for me if I versed Meregali. The answer is not well, so we'll skip ahead. And then we'll go from there. Alright, so obviously we got Meregali in blue and then Lowe in white. Meregali is quite hard to say over and over, so I might call him Garlic or Cannon. Garlic Cannon. I don't know. So obviously waiting to start, probably getting introduced. Might just skip ahead again a little bit. Already it looks like Lowe is a little bit terrified, and Meregali looks very composed. To be fair, if I was versing Meregali, I would be a bit nervous too. But oh, that was sexy. That was so sexy. Alright, never mind. I'll take back what I said. Fucking just smashes him in with a foot sweep. What a beautiful foot sweep that was. That was great. I was going to mention he looks a little bit nervous. But this is kind of exactly what happens when you're too relaxed, like Meregali is. It's part of the strategy that I've noticed Meregali and Gordon Ryan do. Is that they're very relaxed, and if they get taken down, then ho-hum. But then using, like, they're not worried about playing the bottom or the top, and so they use the effort as needed, and then they're not like hyper jittery at the start of the match, which pays dividends by the end of the match, and usually that's how they win. So it's part of the strategy. I was going to say that old mate Lowe here looks like he's a bit nervous, and then like it's excellent game plan by Meregali here, because if you can get in your head of your opponent, it doesn't matter if you're actually the best, if they think you're the best. It all helps, you know, and like obviously Meregali is very, very good, but like the gap between these two is probably not as wide as what Meregali's would like it to be, you know what I mean? But like, because the other person believes it is, it becomes as wide as it is, if that makes sense. Anyway, let's watch that foot sweep again. Nice. Alright, I'm going to do something that I've not done before. I'm going to slow this down to... Oh, that's subtitles. Hang on. Playback speed. I want 50% playback speed. Yeah. So... I was wondering if this was if that was a guard pull by Meregali as well. It was both a beautiful takedown, beautiful time, but like happy coincidence as well. So we'll keep playing in 50%. So what's happening here is Lowe is being... It's a bit shorter, and it's a bit easier to get underneath the person when you're shorter, you know. And he immediately grabs and goes, which is what I say to do a lot. But what Meregali does is, if you look at his right leg, he'll grab, because what Meregali does is, as soon as he grabs, he puts the right leg in the hip, right? Watch this right leg. Grabs. Lowe is already on the fucking soccer kick. Meregali is just following his game plan of, I want to pull guard. So he lifts this foot up and just gets fucking collected on the way through. And so it were really a guard pull, but it counts as a takedown because of that happy coincidence. And if I had to guess, it's probably less a happy coincidence and more Lowe absolutely studied what Meregali does at the beginning of matches and just fucking went for it. And the timing worked out. Do you know what I mean? And so Meregali has his guard. Beautiful leg weaves and all the rest of it. Meregali now has his guard that he wanted, but he also gets taken down, so he loses the points. All right, one more time. Sorry, guys. This is a gorgeous takedown. Boom. And then what's happening here is this is a beautiful passing attempt, but you can see Merengali's hips quite off the ground, so he's rolling his hips in, bringing his knees towards his chest, and he's going really wide with his knees. And so Lowe is trying to do this big back step pass with his leg, and shuffle around the outside. But because Meregali is using his hands to frame, he can draw his hips in to follow the back step. And because he's not following around the corner, rather he's cutting the angle over the top with his legs. Because he's cutting over the top of the corner, he gets there first, and so he can leg weave in, and then he can place the foot on the hip, and so on and so forth. And it's just happy days for him. Let's go back to normal speed, and we'll watch from here. And so you can see how Lowe was really trying to dance around the legs there. But it just wasn't working because Meregali just had good positioning. So I'll just mention this, then we'll watch it a couple of times so you see what I mean. Lowe were doing lots of little steps all over the place, and Garlic Cannon Man didn't really do anything, didn't have to move that much. Yes, he's still doing stuff, but it's more to do with how he's positioned his body than his technical prowess of how he's moving his legs and things, that makes his guard really, really good. And so Lowe just backs out and starts to go again, which is probably fair enough too. So he doesn't want to get caught, and he's playing this game plan quite well. It's really nice guard defense, actually. So sorry, 1 second. So I really like what I'm seeing here by Lowe. He's obviously based on that takedown and the way he's playing this right now, he's obviously been studying Garlic Man, because he's not, his foot isn't here and this foot isn't here, right? So he's not sat like this. That makes a big difference with how easy it is for Meregali to connect a foot, grab a sleeve, grab a collar, wrap, get underneath, sweep, that sort of thing. It makes it really hard, and so Lowe here is going for the pant legs, and he wants to get underneath the guard, and so he's obviously been studying what Meregali does, and he's coming up with strategies to beat it, which I quite enjoy. And you can see how he's really not engaging until he gets the legs. He's not allowing the engagement. If he weren't to get the legs there, I'm willing to bet he would have broken that grip that we just saw. So you see how he gets the legs first, and then he allows the collar grip. If Meregali were to get the collar grip first, I'm willing to bet that he would have done everything he could with these hands to break the grip off. And that's the thing, right, that I've been sort of exploring with my own students at the moment, is that you can't be running away forever. You have to engage at some point, and you have to not be afraid of the other person grabbing you, because we're doing grappling. We're doing grabbling, you're gonna get grabbed. so you have to not be afraid of that happening, and you have to allow your opponent to have some grips at some point, you know, and so you just have to take what you want and then deal with what they have at a later time. And so I'm really liking what I'm seeing here, and he's you could see there as well. Watch his left hand. Watch this hand. You can see there as well. Boom. He's going underneath, so he wants to go like for a bully pass, or like a over under pass or double under pass, that sort of thing. But Meregali's stunting it right now with this leg in. Sorry, and it's very, very difficult. And he's got like the collar grip, and so because he's pulling in and bracing up, it makes it very hard for Low to use this other hand, even though it's free. He's not got the sleeve grabbed. Grabbed. So it makes it hard, right? And then you can see that Meregali is on the inside hook, right over here. So beautiful passing attempts, but because Meregali is still like, look at the positioning of this knee. When Low does like a back step pass over this side, Meregali just has to weave, and he'll shut down the space in here, and then he moves his head back around the corner, and then there's no guard pass. You know, and so doesn't get that far because Low's too experienced to try it, and he just backs out and tries to come in again. But that's what would have happened if he had tried to smash in for the pass. And you see as well the ever-present concept of the inside space. So you wanna fight for the occupation of the inside space at all times, especially when you're passing guard. And like, if you leave your legs out on the outside, the person will get space like to pass into, and then they'll just connect chest to chest or head to chest, and then get underhooks in Soul over Red Rover. You see Meregali doing everything possible to shut down the inside space before it's even a thing. He's like completely foregoing a De La Riva hook in favor of like a foot on the neck. So this is like a lassile guard, but it's not really a guard at all. You know, this is nothing that we would ever be taught in like this is a lassile guard, this is a spider guard. This is conceptual awareness rather than grappling awareness, if that makes sense. Well, they're both the same thing, but Meregali understands what this represents. And now he goes into like a De La Riva, going high-low and then reacting to slight changes. So you see how like Low is coming forwards, going back, coming forwards, going back. And so Meregali is going up and down with his foot, respectively, as needed. He gets back on the inside space so he can create space, and then the pressure passing comes in. Oh, very nice passing attempt. It's very, very good. And now Meregali gets his lassile. Oh, very cool. I quite like Low style. I've never seen I've never seen him grapple before, but it's just neat watching how athletic he is. I personally wouldn't recommend or do this because, like, with me, I'm very like regimented in the way that I think in a lot of ways, where like I've been told this is the best way to do it, and so I've just done it the best way I've been told to do it. I never really questioned why it's the best way. I just do it because that's what the best people do, right? So I don't do flips and things because Hodger doesn't do flips and things. But that's just me, and like if you want to do flips and all the rest of it, clearly you can because he's at the highest level there is. But it's just not something that I personally do. Anyway, I quite like watching him do this type of thing because he unwound. Like, it's a hell of a way to unwind the fucking lassile guard, isn't it? Doing a fucking cartwheel. Fucking sick. Too bad it didn't work. Well, it did work to unwind the lassile guard, but it ended up getting him caught. skip through this a little bit. And like the problem. Okay, so the problem that I have with flips as well is you get into exactly this type of problem. Is that unless you fucking nail the placement right, so it's really cool if you pull it off. It's sick. It's such a cool highlight reel. But you have to be incredibly precise, and the margin for error is so small. So you need to be skill-wise much higher than your opponent, because if you got someone that's really good, they'll be moving around what you're doing. So you have to try and like throw a dart from a train at a moving dartboard that's also spinning, you know, and so it's incredibly difficult to do that. Whereas pressure style kind of lets you walk up to the dartboard and just like poke it in as needed, and that's why I do pressure style rather than flippy stuff. And also I'm a big fat cunt, so fucking whatever. What was I saying? But like when he landed, he had to come right, and in that sort of half-second time delay where he was regaining balance and reassessing where he actually ended up, because you got to remember his view was like woo like that, and then as he lands, he has to like go from this to this again. In the time frame, what I meant by that is like standing up tall. In the time frame of him doing that, Meregali got a ankle grip and then started sweeping straight away, which is where he is now, and he's at a distinct disadvantage already. And like you can see in his body language, he's already off balance, and he's nowhere near comfortable in this match anymore because he did a flip, which is why I don't agree with him personally, but they look cool. And he's slowly making his way back into the match, but personally, why would you risk it to me? Again, not saying don't do them, but that's just my justification for why I don't. And so now Lower's made his way really quite nicely into like a pressure passy style, but it feels like he's not really sure how to go about passing, because of like there's a lot of subtle movements that Garlic Salami Hammy Man, Meregali Man has made, and so like committing forwards because Merengali's just on the ball with wrap go, it'd be very difficult for Low to do much, you know. And he almost gets past there, but again he's very off balance throughout these passes. Like it's not him initiating the passing attempt, it's him reacting to a sweep attempt, right? And it looks like he's almost passed, but again, because Meregali is he's already got his shoulders off the mats, he's already going to be moving and curling, and because of that, as you could see, it's very easy for him to ride up again, you know, because he's using Low as his own he's using Low as like the counterweight for him to pull against to ride himself up. And so because of that, he gets the knee back in, and then as Low is moving around the corner, Meregali just gets dragged for free, basically, so he can retain his guard, which is quite difficult for Low to deal with. And then all of a sudden, because Low's off balance, Meregali gets the foot in, the sweep in, and he's pulling on the lapel, and he's going to be going over the top. And you can see that Low went for another backsteppy type pass, but Meregali was too well positioned for it, and it didn't work. And so now the sweep happens, and all very nice passing attempts. So what's happening here is Meregali manages to get the sweep. So we'll come back to this position. Low seems to love his like jumping backstep type things, right? Like this. Meregali caught it to stop the backstep again. but he also started traveling Low forwards. Because Low's traveling forwards, Low has to place his foot back on the ground, but continue to travel forwards, which is what allows Meregali to come around the corner, swing his legs in to like a reverse X-guard type thing, backside X-guard. And then because he's like X'd on the hips, he's got the grip here, he's got the grip on the collar, all he has to do is push, sit up, pull, and the sweep happens. What have I done? And you can see how he puts his foot on the floor to add extra drive. Just like punches the leg over the top, and it's very hard now to come back into this. It's almost impossible. And so Low accepts the sweep, and then you can see how he tried to weave, but Merengali's already putting pressure in and just like weaving around the side. And yes, Low has the grip, so the pass probably won't be there, but if this is the only thing now stopping Meregali from passing. So very good. And then Meregali goes around the top, not really worried about the hand and the knee bar attempt because he has control over the other side. So if he manages to get this hand wrenched free, his hips go in, his knees drop, and then he just belly flops on top, and then he gets the pass. But Low manages to come back into a guard very nicely, and so Meregali tries to do like a same type thing, hopping pass where he rips the leg down and then hops over the top, but Low manages to catch his other leg, as you can see. And so Meregali straight away goes into knee cut, and then he's going back and forwards with the different passing styles that we just mentioned. Now this type of passing, see how the pressure's in, the knee's in, the elbow's coming down, and the weight's going in. It's very hard now for Low to move, especially with the control of the other ankle. Very difficult now. And this is the style of passing that I prefer because it just saps the opponent, and it stunts their movement. And as soon as their movement's stunted, you can have the best movement in the world, but as soon as you can't move, it's useless to you. And that's why I prefer pressure style, which is what we're seeing here. And he steps around the corner, tries to pass, and then does pretty much the same sequence I just covered with like hips in, goes around the side. This time it works. And then Low is obviously struggling here. He has the right idea, pushing in, but Merengali's not allowing this bottom shoulder to come down, and not allowing this elbow to come on the floor to prop up and go, right? And it happens, but because Meregali did all of the work to make it like difficult, Low ran out of steam, right? And it looks like there's a fair bit of a size difference here between the two of these boys. Like Meregali looks huge, absolutely huge. Low's really struggling now. Burned a lot of his juice. And so Meregali, you can see he's got like grip in. This can set up like reverse bread cutters where the elbow comes across the top and he slices back into the back of the head. But he's so connected now, and he was trying to get behind this elbow to like do a hip switch and clear with a sit through. Very good way to clear. And you can see now he might be going for a canto choke as well, where this leg comes over the top, and like this side of the neck slices into the back of the knee. But Low's doing his best to keep his head out of the way around the corner and make it difficult. Yeah, it looks like he's going for that canto choke. Low's defending it quite nicely. He knows what's going on. So he's keeping his hand present, but he makes a mistake here. Oh, he's going for a buggy choke. Now, alright, full disclosure, buggy choke's absolutely fucking trash and you should never do it. It doesn't actually work, especially with people that know what they're doing, because they're just going to Von Fluke the fuck out of you. So don't do buggy chokes. Huge mistake. what happens here as well, the other mistake that Lowe's made is this elbow has come up to defend the canto choke, which allows Meregali the chance to clear the arm with a double under, right? And then Lowe goes for a Hail Mary buggy, which is just bad. You shouldn't do this, because that exact thing happens. This, exactly what you just saw happens. Watch. All you have to do to defend the buggy, smash your shoulder into his neck, rotate this other shoulder up, put your elbow on the hip, smash your shoulder in as you pull backwards. The shoulder goes down as you pull backwards, and then you drop in, right? What's happening here is that the person on bottom's also getting choked because the head is pinching into the arm. So it's a Von Flute choke, which is effectively a head and arm choke, right? So now it's like, well, who's going to last out longer? And the person on top will, because they're just going to stack up and smash the shit out of you. And all they have to do is flare wider, and they'll have space on one side of their neck. And it's just not good, especially when like you don't have the grip set in. So the person on, you see how Meregali's got this shoulder taller. Because he brought this shoulder taller, he's bringing space off the chest. And this is where the buggy choke actually works on people, is that if they go, oh fuck, I can't let go of the side control because my coach told me to keep my chest low, which is what allows the space for the lockup. But the thing is though, is that in order to go for the buggy choke, you need your legs in the air. If your legs are in the air, they're not on the floor. If your legs aren't on the floor, you can't bridge, so you can't take advantage of the space. So the person on top in Meregali's position can lift the shoulder to defend the buggy choke, because the person on bottom can't capitalize on the space available, which is why the buggy choke's bad. You shouldn't do it. And then this happens where you just get absolutely cross-faced the fuck out of with a hand that's cleared, and you're just gonna lose in a horrible fashion. You shouldn't go for a buggy choke at all. It's just bad. And then you get into mount with double arms cleared, and you get smother tapped. And this is just a bad place to be. And so Meregali at the moment is got his hands clasped under the head. He's just smashing his chest in. You see how like wide his hips are? He doesn't care if Low on the bottom gets a half guard, because he's just going to pass him out because he's got the double unders again. And yeah, that's a mat tap. Meregali walks off like a beast. And so that's a lot of pressure. There's a lot of pressure going into Low's face there, and Meregali's using his hands to keep Low's face straight up, and he's like smothering him. So Low not only can't breathe because he's breathing through small gaps, but he's not getting, his lungs are getting compressed and everything, and so he just ends up getting mat tapped in arguably one of the most prestigious tournaments this year, you know. And that happened because he went for a buggy choke, basically. But also because he had to defend the canto choke. So like the arm got cleared and so on and so forth. But he shouldn't have gone for that buggy choke at all, because this happens, right? Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed that. Thank you so much for tuning in. Please leave a comment down below. Let me know what you liked, what you didn't like. I'm always looking for feedback to improve. Hopefully you learned something. I did. Thank you so much for listening to me ramble. Take it easy. See you next time.